Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews. You know the saying, sharing is caring? Well, I have the most wicked case of roids right now. Like, seriously, they are off the charts. I think, okay, more to the point, it's a convenient rhyme more than anything. Sharing is caring. I mean, really, let's say you're sharing syphilis. Are you really going to be caring that much? Nah. This is going to be a hard game to review. Ever since I made the decision to start collecting Saturn games back in 2009, I have wanted this game for the longest time. It wasn't for the fact that I'd played it originally on the 3DO before, no. It was that after going through the list of games I needed to complete my collection, I noticed some games were exclusive to one region, and this had been an exclusive to the Saturn in the US region. Tracking it down shouldn't be too hard to find, right? But as time passed, I found it getting harder to obtain a copy. It would turn up in, say, a bundle of games I already owned, and the seller wouldn't sell it individually, or sometimes in a disc only. But very rarely did it turn up for a reasonable price, complete in box, and in decent condition. To be fair, the same can be said for pretty much like 95% of the Saturn library. But this is where it all takes a turn. It was 2012, and I was starting to resign to the fact that maybe I had to settle for a disc-only copy at some ridiculous eBay price. Then I kind of forgot about it for a year, which leads me to last year, about June, July. Then something freakish happened. 3 copies turned up at the same time. One was disc-only, one was in a bundle, like fucking usual, and the other one was moderately priced and in good condition. I couldn't possibly hit the buy it now quick enough. The guy even PM'd me back asking me if I'd bought the right game because he had posted it not even an hour ago. So now, the question begs, was this game worth all this time and effort trying to track down this fucking thing? The last 3DO ported title was Off-Road Extreme, and I like that game personally, but not enough to recommend it to others. And from what I saw on the back of the box, I think we're dealing with more or less the same thing. It's also worth noting that this got a PlayStation port and a PC port from the 3DO. The game was made by Acclaim, and that was a red flag if ever there was one. The only game I have reviewed thus far is Dragonheart, which doesn't exactly fill me with confidence. So let's look at a game that had so much lost potential that it's impossible not to think of it as a game from the 3DO. I have completely turned around on this. It's very seldom I write a review, go back and look at my captured footage and change my opinion so wildly. But I like the menu presentation on this. When I first wrote this review, I hated it. It was dry, boring, and purely function. But now that I think about it, I do enjoy the menu system. It feels more in place with the theme of an arena-based fighting game. In my original review, I didn't give a flying fuck about in-game presentation and oh boy, is that ever present? Yeah, that still sucks. Not the particular layout I'm against, but rather the color scheme works in about half the arenas. Graphically, it is everything 3DO. No matter what you can say about the Saturn's graphics and its inability to deal with 3D properly, I can only think of 1, maybe 2 games from the 3DO where the graphics are up to snuff by comparison. So, they're not great graphics. I guess my biggest complaint is colours that don't work well together being put together in some kind of eyesore goulash. Sound is average. I really wish I had more to say on that, but I don't. In fact, I would go as far to say that perhaps average is being a little bit generous. I don't remember any kind of soundtrack in the game, so if there was one, that really gives you a pretty accurate gauge of what we're dealing with here. Sound effects are either explosions, easily forgettable commentary, or crowd cheering. I sure hope you like long load times, because that's what we're dealing with here. Gameplay is frustrating. It's not bad, but for the first 10 minutes, I spent roaming around trying to find out what the fuck I was supposed to do. I know I'm aiming for a goal, but I threw it at the goal and nothing happened. Okay, yes, sure, it was in between the two walls, so what was I doing wrong? So, I just stood in the goal area and just threw it at the wall until it registered a goal. Fine. Fuck you, game. Find a way to play by your rules. Which was fine until I upped the difficulty and got pantsed so hard it wasn't working anymore. See, you thought I was going to make a dirty metaphor. Bigger fool you. I had to shoot towards it and hope for the best. The computer player was so fucking good that it didn't even give me a fighting chance, and I think to myself, come on Carter, keep it together. This is the 90s. Games were normally this hard. You're soft. Go drink some concrete so I can progress. You know, as I wiped the tears away, I battled through. But it didn't seem to really matter. The arenas didn't change dramatically, and the enemies simply got harder to the point where I think they could see things my view simply could not. They were shooting at me with such accuracy that even as I ran and jumped away, it made little to no difference. To begin with, it was fun. It was fine, to a degree. Then it gets repetitive and starts to feel unfair. Provided you can get past all of the problems this game has, you have a bit to sift through. I mean, nothing extensive, but a few hours to develop your abilities to get through the game, plus a few hours to finish the game, and a versus mode, and it does add up to quite a bit. You can up the difficulty perhaps, but if you're like me and you can't tolerate hampered controls and visuals which are painfully 90s, you know, the bad sort, not the good sort, the lasting peel's about an hour. I did end up playing it longer than that, but that's only because I'm an idiot who didn't want to miss out on anything. And after the first hour, you're not. Would I recommend it? No. Enjoy your time. Don't waste it. Do something else.
Keep